Palagi eh.
Recording in progress.
Out hanggang ngayon. Bit tayo. Yes. Kaya ko ba? Okay, hindi na. Dali. 4 months and counts. Kaya lang. Order. Paano yung trabaho? Kaya. Para kami standing namin ng elimination.
Opo, kita ko naman sir. Ipili ako naman kung maganda.
Partner. Halo kami ng everything.
Walang biya sir.
Partner. Partner. Hindi ako nakapaglaro ng ganda talaga nila yung apoy.
Sir, kulang pa na sir. Sir, ito na ba? Pag-aabot ko. Yan na. Game time.
The session's called to order. Please rise for the singing of the national anthem.
Bayang magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, buyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupit, di ka masisingil. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit kong bakaw, may nilang ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nakikinig. Ang bituin at araw niya kailan pang may magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng maraming pagsika, ay langit sa ating mo. Aming ligaya na pag may mamapit, ang namatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Please remain standing for a minute of silent prayer. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we call the roll of the members.
The Secretary General is directed to call the roll of the members.
Roll call of members. Honorable Representatives. Abalos, Abante, Abunda, Acharon, Asidre, Acop, Adjong, Advincula, Garao, Alba, Albano, Almario, Almonte, Alonte, Alvarez Jose, Alvarez Mercedes, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante, Amatong, Angara, Aquino, Aquino Magsaysay, Arbison, Arenas, Arrogancia, Asistio, Atayde, Aumentado, Balindong, Barba, Barbers, Baronda, Bersaga, Bascug, Bautista, Bautista Lim, Benitez, Bernos, Billones, Biron, Bolilla, Bondok, Bongalon, Bordado, Bosita, Briones, Brosas, Buhay, Bulot Begtang, Bustos, Cabredo, Cagas, Kahayon Uy, Calderon, Calixto, Campos, Kawagdan, Cardema, Cari, Castro Franz, Castro Jane, Celeste, Chan, Chato, Cua, Chongalao, Co Angelica Natasha, Co Elizalde, Co Pilar, Coanco Jaime, Coanco Mark, Colada, Collantes, Corvera, Cruz Ambrosio, Cruz Ricardo, Cua, Quaresma, Dagoo, Dalipe, Dalog, Dayang Hirang, Daza, De Jesus, De Venecia, Defensor, Del Mar, De Los Santos, Demoporo, Muhammad Khalid, Demoporo, City Amina, Dionisio, Domingo, Duavit, Duhali, Duterte, D. Faustino Ino, D. Faustino Michael Carlos, D. Ian Paul, Ecleo, Emmano, Enverga, Escudero, Esperas, Espina, Estrella, Lieda, Fariñas, Fernandez, Ferrer Antonio, Ferrer Juliet Marie, Flores, Fortes, Frasco, Fresnedi, Fuentebella, Galeos, Garcia Albert, Garcia Dante, Garcia Jose Arturo, Garcia Maria Angelica, Garcia Pablo Jan, Garcia Vincent, Garjola, Garin, Gasataya, Gato, Go Ed Christopher, Go Mark, Goles, Gomez, Gonzaga, Gonzales Aurelio, Gonzales Neptali, Gonzales Sandro, Goroseta, Gico, Ginto, Gullias, Gutierrez, Hagidorn, Haresco, Hataman, Hernandez, Herrera, Horibata, Javier, Co Olga, Co Ricardo, Co Wilton, Konghun, Labad-Labad,
Lacson Noel, Lagman, Lagon Daphne, Lagon Sani, Lara, Lasatin, Lee, Legarda, Lebanan, Limkay Chong, Loyola, Luistro, Lumayag, Makapagal Arroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Magsino, Malapitan, Mangawang, Manikis, Manuel, Maranyaon, Marcoleta, Marcos, Mariano Hernandez, Mariño, Marquez, Martinez, Mastura, Matibag, Matugas, Mendoza, Mercado Revilla, Miguel, Momo, Morden, Nava, Nisay, Noel, Nograles, Juan Fidel Felipe, Nograles Margarita, Nolasco, Waminal, Olasco, Olivares, Ongchuan, Ordanes, Ortega, Juana Dizon, Padjernos, Paduano, Paglas, Palma, Panaligan, Pancho, Panotes, Pascual, Peña, Pimentel, Plaza, Pleito, Remisias Agabas, Pumaren, Puno, Kimbo, Rama, Recto, Ragancia, Remulla, Revilla Brian, Revilla Ramon Yolo, Reyes, Rillo, Rivera, Robes, Rodriguez Yolio, Rodriguez Rufus, Roman, Romero, Romualdez, Fernandan Martin, Romualdez Yeda Marie, Romualdo, Romulo, Roque, Sakdalan, Sagarbaria, Sakaluran, Salceda, Sali, Salimbangon, Salo, Salvame, Santos, Saulug, Silverio, Singson Rochelle, Singson Ronald, Singson Mihan, Salon, Suwan, Swansing Horacio, Swansing Micaela Angelica, Suarez, Talyado, Tamayo, Tambunting, Tan Joseph, Tan Keith Micah, Tan Reynolds Michael, Tan Shamir, Tan Stephen James, Tan Tambut, Tan Chay, Tan Watco, Tariara, Tidoro, Teves Jose, Tiangco, Chieng, Tolentino, Tulfo Jocelyn, Tulfo Ralph Wendell, Tupas, Tutor, T, Umali, Unabia, Ungab, Valeriano, Valmayor, Vargas Alfonso, Velasco, Veloso Tuason, Vergara, Versosa, Villafuerte Luis Raymond, Villafuerte Miguel Luis, Villanueva, Villar, Villarasa Suarez, Villarica, Violago, Yamsuan, Yap Christian Tel, Yap Christopherson, Yap Edvic, Yap Eric, Yap Divina Grace, Yap Jaisel Victoria, Yulo, Zamora Maria, Amparo Maria, Zamora Maria Carmen, Zamora Isabel Maria, Zubiri. Madam Speaker, the roll call shows 310 members responded to the call.
With 310 members responding to the call, the chair declares the presence of a quorum. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we defer the approval of the journal of the previous session.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we now proceed with the reference of business and request that the Secretary General be directed to read the titles of bills and resolutions of first readings, as well as communications and committee reports.
The Secretary General is directed to read the titles of bills and resolutions on first reading, as well as the communications and committee reports for referral to the appropriate committee.
Reference of business, bills on first reading. House Bill 8066, reclassifying a parcel of land of the public domain in San Jose, General Santos City as alienable and disposable land open to disposition for agricultural, residential, commercial, industrial, and for other purposes, by Representative Acharon.
To the Committee on Natural Resources.
House Bill 8067, further strengthening the cooperative movement in the country, by Representative Espares.
To the Committee on Cooperatives Development.
House Bill 8068, requiring business establishments to install CCTV cameras in their place of business as a means to deter crime, by Representatives Yap Eric Duterte and Yap Edvic.
To the Committee on Public Order and Safety.
House Bill 8069, establishing early learning programs for indigent pre-kindergarten children, by Representatives Yap Eric Duterte and Yap Edvic.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 8070, providing subsidies and other incentives for indigent public utility drivers in the payment of fees and charges for certain certificates and clearances required by the LTO in applying for a professional driver's license, by Representatives Yap Eric, Duterte, and Yap Edvic.
To the Committee on Transportation.
House Bill 8071, establishing penitentiary systems in Regions 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, and CAR to decongest the New Bilibid Prison and other penal farms and provinces, by Representatives Duterte, Yap Eric, and Yap Edvic.
To the Committee on Justice.
House Bill 8072, mandating LGUs to allocate 5% of their internal revenue allotment for the construction of school buildings, by Representative Flores.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 8073, extending the franchises of electric cooperatives to construct, install, establish, operate, own, manage, and maintain distribution systems for the conveyance of electric power to the end users in their respective franchise areas, by Representatives Dagoc and De Jesus.
To the Committee on Legislative Franchises.
House Bill 8074, creating a regional engineering office and component district engineering offices of the DPWH for the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, by Representatives Adyong and Balindo.
To the Committee on Public Works and Highways.
House Bill 8075, institutionalizing the Philippine Ecosystem and Natural Capital Accounting System, by Representatives Villafuerte, Luis Raymond, Villafuerte, Miguel Luis, Horibata, and Yamsuwan.
To the Committee on Natural Resources.
House Bill 8076, creating 3 branches of the RTC to be stationed in the municipalities of Catarman, Allen, and Lawang, Northern Samar, by Representative Daza.
To the Committee on Justice.
House Bill 8077, amending Sections 22, 26, 27 of the Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Act, by Representative Ecleo.
To the Committee on Disaster Resilience.
House Bill 8079, prohibiting ownership by electricity distribution utilities and electricity generating companies and retail electricity suppliers, by Representatives Castro, Franz, Broses, and Manuel.
To the Committee on Energy.
Resolutions. House Resolution 969, urging the Office of Civil Defense to streamline and further rationalize the system for the management of the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Fund by updating the revised guidelines on the administration of the same, by Representative Ecleo.
To the Committee on Disaster Resilience.
House Resolution 970, expressing recognition and congratulations to Filipino athlete Chanry Ubas for winning the gold medal in the men's long jump in the 32nd Southeast Asian Games held on May 5 to 17, 2023 in Cambodia, by Representative Rodriguez Rufus.
To the Committee on Youth and Sports Development.
House Resolution 971, directing the House through its Committee on Energy to investigate the issuance of red and yellow alerts by the NGCP for the Luzon and Visayas grids due to forced outages of 5 electric power plants and the derated capacity of 3 others, by Representatives Castro, Franz, Brosas, and Manuel.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 972, directing the Committee on Agriculture and Food to conduct an investigation on the effectiveness of the use of chemical fertilizers in rice production, by Representatives Villafuerte, Luis Raymond, Yamsuan, Fernandez, and Garcia Albert.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 973, congratulating Marion Kim Mangrobang of Bawan, Batangas for winning the gold medal at the Women's Duathlon and the silver medal at the Women's Triathlon during the 2023 SEA Games held in Cambodia, by Representative Reyes.
To the Committee on Youth and Sports Development.
House Resolution 974, congratulating and commending Filipino-American Miss Arboni Nola Gabriel for winning the Miss Universe title in the 71st Miss Universe pageant held in New Orleans, Louisiana, USA on January 15, 2023. By Representatives Romualdez Ferdinand Martin, Delipe, Libanan, Marcos, Romualdez Yeda Marie, and Asidre.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Concurrent Resolution 11, granting consent to Mr. Delfin and Lorenzana, Chairman of the BCDA, to receive the United States Special Operations Command Medal from the Government of the USA, by Representative Arenas.
To the Committee on Foreign Affairs.
Communications. Letters from certain local chief executives and local government officials transmitting to the House copies of their reports on fund utilization and status of program project activity implementation relative to the Local Government Support Fund for certain months in 2021, 2022, and 2023.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Committee reports. Committee report numbers 522, 523, and 539, submitted by the Committee on Public Works and Highways and the Committee on Appropriations on House Bill numbers 8107, 1309, and 8133. Committee report numbers 524, 525, 526, 527, 528, 529, 530, 531, 532, 533, 534, 535, 536, 537, and 538, submitted by the Committee on Aquaculture and Fisheries Resources and the Committee on Appropriations on House Bill numbers 8119, 8120, 8121, 8122, 8123, 8124, 8125, 8126, 8127, 8128, 8129, 7101, 8130, 8131, and 8132.
The aforementioned committee reports are all referred to the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, may we request that we acknowledge the guests from the local government unit of Cabadbaran City in the province of Agusan del Norte. They are the guests of the Honorable Dale B. Corbera, representative from 2nd District of Agusan del Norte.
To the guests of the Honorable Dale Corvera from the 2nd District of Agusan del Norte, the City Mayor, Honorable Judy Amante, City Administrator, the Honorable Andrea Rosario Amante, Vice Mayor Ray Jamboy, Councilors Leo Corvera, Councilor Ines Amante, Councilor Alan Asio, Councilor John Paul Famador, Councilor Judith Cueno, Councilor Lovejoy Kiambao, Councilor Joan Monding, Councilor Celson Sanchez, Councilor Val Villanueva, Councilor Christine Joy B. de los Reyes, Councilor Oliver Bulang, Councilor Abner Kagaanan, and the staff of the city LGU, Mr. Denmar Banate, Mr. Rustico Mabalcon, and Mr. William Cascion. Welcome to the House of Representatives. Majority Leader.
Likewise, Madam Speaker, may we request that we acknowledge the guests, the barangay captains from the municipality of Castillejo, Zambales. They are the guests of the Honorable Jefferson F. Conghun from the 1st District of Zambales, namely Eddie Gutierrez, Jobito M. Pascual, Quirino Adolfo, Rubian S. Dayap, Ramon Valdez, Danilo Lopez, Marcos Alfonso, Yam Dadural, Ronaldo Bukirin, Rafael Tugade, Susan Soria, Roel Esteban, Zaldi Espiritu, and Dennis Mapalo.
To the guests of our Assistant Majority Leader Jefferson Conghun from the 1st District of Zambales, the 14 barangay captains from the municipality of Castillejo, Zambales, welcome to the House of Representatives. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, may I respectfully request that we recognize the members of the Barangay Federation of Naga City Committee on Environment, who are the guests of the Honorable Raul Angelo Gil D. Bongalon and the Honorable Elizalde S. Co, both representatives of Ako Bicol Party List. And may I specifically mention the names of their guests. The Honorable Jose Napay, the Honorable Patricia Colasito, the Honorable Eduardo Reniva, Honorable Helda Roquid, Honorable Grace Navia, Honorable Norman Nicolas, Honorable Roberto Sanchez, Honorable Elisa Carmona, Honorable Asuncion Flor, Honorable Susana Pabia, Honorable Lani Rivera, Honorable Maria Teresa Jimenez, Honorable Edwin Bailey Sr., Honorable Lydia Guanizo, Honorable Ricardo Francisco, Honorable Delit Rivera, Honorable Maria Grace Pimentel, Honorable Mario Salak Jr., Honorable Marilu Panganiban, and Honorable Miguel Paro.
To the guests of the Ako Bicol Party List, the Chairman of Appropriations, the Honorable Elizalde Esco, and Vice Chair of APRO, the Honorable Angelo Gil Bongalon. Welcome to the House of Representatives. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, under the calendar of business for today, I move that we consider House Bill number 1171 as contained in the committee report number 407 submitted by the Committee on Trade and Industry.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of House Bill 1171.
House Bill 1171, an act promoting inclusive and sustainable economic development through the institutionalization of the One Town, One Product Philippines program and appropriating funds therefore.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Representative Mario Vittorio Marino to begin the sponsorship of the measure.
The Honorable Mario Vittorio Marino of the 5th District, Batangas, is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my esteemed colleagues in this august chamber, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. As chairperson of the Committee on Trade and Industry, I have the honor to sponsor House Bill number 1171, entitled An Act Promoting Inclusive and Sustainable Economic Development through the Institutionalization of One Town, One Product Philippines program and appropriating funds therefore. It seeks to immediate approval and consolidation with House Bill numbers 2735, 4166, 5669, 6203, and 7260. House Bill 1171 aims to institutionalize the One Town, One Product, or OTOP Philippines program of the Department of Trade and Industry. The proposed OTOP Philippines program, which is inspired by Japan's One Village, One Product movement, is anchored on three main principles. One, locally but global, the OTOP Philippines program aims to increase, develop, and promote one product that local people of our towns, cities, provinces, and regions can be proud of, especially a product that can be marketed both domestically and internationally. This covers both goods and services that can reflect the local touch and pride, but at the same time could meet the global demand. Two, self-reliance and creativity. The driving force of OTOP Philippines is the local people's initiatives. By using their own potential and wisdom, the local community is expected to be able to identify their creative advantage in order to produce a creative product or service independently by using their own available resources. Three, human resource development. The OTOP Philippines program aims to stimulate visionary local leadership and invigorate community empowerment. It seeks to encourage the local community to cultivate their potentials and creative thinking. This includes establishing networks and the transfer of knowledge and skills. Equally important, the bill seeks to promote the growth of MSMEs in the countryside through the development of indigenous raw materials, the utilization of homegrown expertise and talents, and featuring local traditions and cultures. House Bill number 1711 aims to provide a comprehensive package of assistance for MSME OTOP beneficiaries to develop new, innovative, and more complex merchandise and services with significant improvements in the areas of quality, product development, design, packaging, standards compliance, marketability, production capability, and brand development. Likewise, the bill promotes the convergence of initiatives between local government units, national government agencies, and private sector in the development and promotion of OTOP Philippine products. Further, it establishes OTOP Philippines Trust Mark, which shall serve as a guarantee of excellence in OTOP Philippines products and services. During the 18th Congress, the House of Representatives approved the proposed OTOP Philippines Act on third reading and immediately transmitted the same to the Philippine Senate. Unfortunately, The Philippine Senate failed to act on the same before the closure of the previous Congress. This, however, did not discourage the Committee on Trade and Industry of the House of Representatives, but it only strengthened its resolve to prioritize the enactment of the refiled OTAP Philippines Act under the present Congress. Madam Speaker, MSMEs are indeed the backbone of the Philippine economy. They are the engines of economic activity and job creation, especially in the countryside where large-scale companies hardly exist. The 2021 list of establishments surveyed by the Philippine Statistics Authority recorded a total of 1,080,810 business enterprises operating in the country. Of these, 1,076,279 establishments, or 99.58%, are MSMEs. Micro enterprises constitute 90.54% of total establishments, followed by small enterprises at 8.63% and medium enterprises at 0.41%. Together, our MSMEs generated a total of 5,461,731 jobs, or 64.67% of the country's total employment. Moreover, our MSMEs account for 25% of the country's total exports revenue. As the lifeblood of our economy, it is high time that we empower our MSMEs to make them resilient and sustainable by supporting them financially in terms of capacity building. By providing more assistance to rural communities in achieving competitive and innovation-driven local economies, the proposed OTAP Philippines Act has potential to become a powerful program to invigorate our MSMEs and help them rise from the COVID pandemic. It is imperative, therefore, that we in Congress support the development and viability of grassroots enterprises through the institutionalization of the OTAP Philippines program, if only to ensure that the poor and marginalized members of our society, particularly those in the countryside, benefit from the economic recovery and growth. Moreover, the OTAP Philippines Act will help unleash and harness the entrepreneurship mindset that is needed to move the Philippines forward and become competitive in positioning its niche for the global market penetration. Madam Speaker, in view of the foregoing, the immediate passage of House Bill number 1711 by the House of Representatives is earnestly sought. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there being no members who wishes to interpolate or speak against the bill, I move that we terminate the period for interpellation and sponsorship.
There's a motion. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I now move that we open the period of amendments.
There's a motion to open the period of amendment. Is there any objection? The chair hears none, the motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, there being no committee nor individual amendment, I move that we terminate the period of amendment.
There is a motion to terminate the period of amendment. Is there any objection? The chair hears none, the motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we vote on second reading House Bill number 1171.
Those who are in favor of House Bill 1171, say aye. Those who are against, say nay. The ayes have it. House Bill 117 is approved on second reading. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, in the calendar of business, I move that we consider House Bill 7600 as contained in Committee Report 443, submitted by the Committee on Trade and Industry, and request the Secretary General to read the title of the bill.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the measure.
House Bill 7600, an act strengthening the powers and functions of the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines, amending for the purpose Republic Act number 8293 as amended, otherwise known as the Intellectual Property Code of the Philippines.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize Representative Joey Salceda to initiate the sponsorship of the bill.
The Honorable Joey Salceda, Chair of Ways and Means, is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Distinguished members, good afternoon. Thank you, Chairman Marino, for giving this bill the highest priority in your committee and for your usual able leadership and defense of this measure. Piracy in the online space is driven by three key elements. First, content is digital and therefore easy to save. Second, the medium is the internet, so sharing is easy. Finally, social media amplifies sharing, so there is an element of virality to online piracy. I would like to emphasize the last point in this sponsorship. At this point, the concept of virality is very concrete to all of us after COVID-19. As we have seen with the pandemic, something viral starts with only one super spreader, after which content can proliferate very quickly. Once that happens, it becomes very difficult to contain. One pirated content becomes viral. It becomes very difficult to prevent and other users from accessing it. Copyright laws become impossible to enforce on viral content. So the point of any intellectual property enforcement law in the digital age must be to prevent infringement before it becomes viral. Thus, it must also bear three key elements: simple, fair, and quick. Simple enough for complainants to access, fair enough it does not become litigious, quick enough that it can be enforced before pirated content becomes viral. That is what House Bill number 7600 aims to do. In practical terms, it allows the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines to receive complaints and petitions, to take down infringed content posted online, or to conduct site blocking. The complaints can be heard in a simplified manner that also adheres to the constitutional requirement of due process, including means to appeal. And within 5 days, the IPO field can decide on the complaint and 48 hours thereafter, compel an internet service provider to block the offending site. Let me assure stakeholders, however, that we have exhausted every means to ensure that this process, while quick, retains constitutional protections. Complaints must be sufficient in form. There must be due notice about the complaint and of the conduct of the hearings. Therefore, there must be due notice of the final judgment, and there's an appeals mechanism in case the affected side. Allow me to reiterate the requirements of due process. Due process is satisfied if the following conditions are present. 1, there must be a court or tribunal clothed with judicial power to hear and determine the matter before it. 2nd, jurisdiction must be lawfully acquired over the person of the defendant or over the property which is the subject of the proceeding. 3, the defendant must be given an opportunity to be heard. And 4, judgment must be rendered upon lawful hearing, and these conditions are fully met by House Bill 7600. At the same time, I would like to emphasize that the cost of online piracy to our country. The creative industries already account for 7.6% of GDP, with digital content creation contributing already as much as 0.46% to our economy. It will continue to grow, but so will the cost of online piracy, already estimated to cost between 0.12% of GDP, or more than 1/4 the size of the total digital sector, which is almost 2.24 trillion. Without enforcement and without our preemptive strike against online piracy, piracy will kill the sector in its infancy. I urge the House to prevent the postpartum economic abortion of creative industries and allow the very highly potent sector to flourish, mature, and create jobs and grow the economy. It was a juggernaut for the Korean economy, whose creative sector prospered amid the pandemic. Without face-to-face concerts, it prospered simply because it boomed in the digital space. Korea has some of the world's strictest online piracy laws. Good laws lead to good results. I hope this body approves without delay a measure Chairman Marino and I believe will be a good law. What you cannot defend, you cannot own. And you will not create if you cannot own it. As simple as that, Madam Speaker. So thank you very much to all my colleagues for an expeditious and hopefully unanimous approval of this bill. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we now open the period of interpellation and debate.
There is a motion to open the period of interpellation and debate. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, while there were 3 members who initially were listed to interpellate, the same has been withdrawn. I now therefore move that we terminate the period of interpellation and debate.
There is a motion to terminate the period of interpellation and debate. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I now move that we open the period of amendments.
There is a motion to open the period of amendments. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, there being no committee nor individual amendment, I now move that we terminate the period of amendments.
There is a motion to terminate the period of amendment. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I now move that we vote on second reading House Bill 7600.
Those who are in favor of House Bill 7600 say aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. House Bill 7600 is now approved on second reading.
Thank you, Majority Leader.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, may I respectfully request that we recognize the guest of the Honorable Congressman Zia Lonto Adjong of the 1st District of Lanao del Sur, namely Honorable Samira Gutok, the former Commissioner Bangsamoro Transition Commission, Attorney Gamal Ali, Manager, National Power Corporation, and Director Raj Pumbaya, National Commission on Muslim Filipinos.
To the guests of the Honorable Zia Lonte Adjong from the 1st District of Lanao del Sur, welcome to the House of Representatives. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we suspend session for a few minutes.
Session suspended.
Joven? Kailan ba yan? 16. Wala. Oo nga ito ah. Ito ba yan? Dito? Oh, dito.
Session resumed. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I respectfully move that we now consider House Bill number 8078 as contained in Committee Report number 520, an act providing for a 30-year national infrastructure program.
The Secretary just directed to read the title of the measure.
House Bill number 8078, an act providing for a 30-year national infrastructure program.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I respectfully move that we open the period of sponsorship and debate.
The Honorable Romeo Momo is recognized to sponsor the measure.
I move that we recognize. Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My esteemed colleagues in this chamber, in behalf of the 45 co-sponsors of House Bill number 8078, I am honored to introduce this measure entitled An Act Providing for a 30-Year National Infrastructure Program. Why does our country need a 30-year national infrastructure program? Allow me to cite some reasons. First, A long-term infrastructure program will help realize the vision under Ambition Natin 2040 that the Philippines will be a progressive, mainly middle-class society where nobody is poor, where the citizens enjoy healthy lives, are smart and innovative, and live in a high-trust community. Second, we need a long-term perspective because major infrastructure projects are generally capital-intensive, take several years to prepare, design, and implement, with their impact and life extending at least 2 decades. Third, a 30-year infrastructure program will realize and seamlessly interconnect our traditional medium-term and annual infrastructure program. Fourth, this will ensure continuity in the development and implementation of projects in the 30-year program across administration, regardless of changes in national leadership. Fifth, the 30-year program will provide the overall framework for the desirable locations, magnitudes, interrelationship, and timing of public and private investments in major infrastructure in the country over the next 3 decades in order to maximize their socio-economic impact. Sixth, the 30-year program will serve as a predictable roadmap for a major infrastructure projects that will guide the construction industry, investors, and business sectors in pursuing their long-term plans and decisions. Seven, the recent powerful typhoons and floods, coupled with the COVID pandemic, stressed the need for a 30-year program to use scarce funds for more effective, long-lasting engineering measures to address these calamities. And eight, this 30-year program will institutionalize the Build More plan of the administration to sustain industries that will yield robust development, generate jobs, lessen poverty, and improve the lives of Filipinos. Let me briefly summarize the main provisions of the bill. In Section 2 and 4, the bill adopts a 30-year national infrastructure program for 2023 to 2052 to reinforce the long-term vision of Ambition Natin 2040 and provide continuity in vital infrastructure projects across administrations. In Section 5, the bill lays down policies and strategies to be pursued by the government to select and prioritize the component national infrastructure projects in the program. In Section 6, the bill includes an initial list of priority core projects in the agency pipelines, subject to regular updating by NIDA in coordination with oversight and other implementing agencies. In Section 7, the bill provides for the formulation of the detailed 30-year program divided into medium-term program, including measurable targets and selection, priorities, and phasing of projects, their scope, cost, funding, and schedules. NIDA, in coordination with the concerned agencies, shall review and update the program at the end of each medium-term program, as often as necessary, taking into account changes in the development policies and conditions. In Section 8, the bill provides the annual budget allocation for infrastructure of at least 5% of the GDP, consistent with the ceiling of the Development Budget Coordinating Committee, or the BCC. In Section 9, the bill provides project financing and implementation modalities with their criteria, including the conventional scheme, design-build scheme, PPP, hybrid PPP, and national government LGU partnership, among others. In Section 10, the bill provides that the 30-year program shall serve as basis for medium-term and annual programming and budgeting for infrastructure, including the National Expenditure Programs and the General Appropriations Act. In Section 11, the bill provides for the use of modern technology for efficient procurement through electronic bidding and project management through the internationally recognized Building Information Modeling, or BIM, or similar tool. In Section 13, The bill provides for the accountability of the agencies concerned for the proper implementation of the program. Because of the long-run benefits of this bill to our nation and Filipino people, I earnestly enjoin my dear colleagues to immediately pass this measure with clear vision towards development. The time to act is now. Maraming salamat po.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we suspend consideration of House Bill number 8078.
There is a motion. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we suspend session for a few minutes.
Session suspended. Session resumed. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, under the calendar of business for the day, I move that we consider House Bill number 7767 as contained in Committee Report number 478, and for this purpose, may I request that the Secretary General be instructed to read the title of the bill.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the measure.
House Bill number 7767, an act adopting integrated coastal management as a national strategy for the holistic and sustainable management of coastal and related ecosystems and the resources therein from ridge to reef, establishing the National Coastal Greenbelt Action Plan, other supporting mechanisms for implementation, and providing funds therefore.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we open the period of sponsorship and debate.
There's a motion. The chair hears no objection. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize Representative Edgar Chato of the 1st District of Bohol to deliver his sponsorship speech.
The Honorable Edgar Chato from the 1st District of Bohol is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Madam Speaker and my esteemed colleagues in this august chamber, as chairman of the Committee on Climate Change, I am honored to sponsor House Bill 7767 under Committee Report 478 entitled An Act Adopting Integrated Coastal Management as a National Strategy for the Holistic and Sustainable Management of Coastal and Related Ecosystems and resources therein from ridge to reef, establishing the National Coastal Greenbelt Action Plan, other supporting mechanisms for implementation, and providing funds therefor. The Integrated Coastal Management, or ICM Bill, is a priority measure under the Philippine Development Plan 2023 to 2028, drafted by NEDA, just as it was a priority under the Philippine Development Plan of the previous administration. It seeks to mandate the adoption of a multi-stakeholder and ridge-to-reef approach in regulating different human activities, an approach which recognizes the interconnectivity of ecosystems from the uplands up to the coastal and marine areas of our country, and thus addresses the coastal degradation and loss of biodiversity. It proposes to create a committee which will coordinate the efforts of fragmented agencies and instrumentalities which govern our coastal and marine areas. The bill also establishes coastal green belts in areas that are most vulnerable to storm surges and tsunamis, to be reforested with mangroves and beach forests, no less than 100 meters in width. Since our country has the fifth longest coastline of 36,289 kilometers in the world, we have to consider how climate change has increased the vulnerability of our coastal communities. The recent oil spill caused by the sinking of MT Princess Express off the coast of Nauhan, Oriental Mindoro, has made the need to integrate coastal management more urgent. The oil slick has contaminated the waters and beaches of 8 coastal towns in Oriental Mindoro and has reached as far as northern Palawan. The UP Marine Science Institute estimated 20,000 hectares of coral reef, 9,900 hectares of mangroves, and 6,000 hectares of seagrass in Oriental and Occidental Mindoro, Palawan, and Antique could be harmed by the oil spill. Under the bill, the National Coordinating Committee on ICM will develop guidelines for provinces sharing sharing resources for the integrated management and protection of shared coastal and marine ecosystems. At the provincial level, it is the Provincial Development Council that will provide the guidelines for the affected municipalities, unless the province has already established an environmental management office or similar mechanisms. This will encourage cooperation or sharing of best practices among LGUs affected by environmental protection like oil spill, which transcends political boundaries. Once this measure is passed into law, LGUs will be required to prepare conforming local ICM plans, whether they are in the lowlands, in uplands, or coastal areas, due to the fact that human activities and ecosystems are interconnected. These plans will be incorporated in the comprehensive land use plans, or CLUPs, which is currently required of our local government units. I urge my fellow legislators to support this measure and earnestly seek this chamber's approval of this bill. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and my esteemed colleagues.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we suspend consideration of House Bill number 7767.
There is a motion. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, under the calendar of business for the day, I move that we consider House Bill number 8009 under Committee Report number 512.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the measure.
House Bill number 8009, an act defining electronic violence against women and their children, providing protective measures and prescribing penalties for violations thereof, amending for the purpose Republic Act number 9262, otherwise known as the Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act of 2004.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize the chairperson of the Committee on Women and Gender Equality, the Honorable Representative Geraldine Roman of the 1st District of Bataan, to sponsor the bill.
The Honorable Geraldine Roman is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Madam Speaker and esteemed colleagues, good afternoon. As chairperson of the Committee on Women and Gender Equality, it is my duty and my honor to seek approval of Committee Report number 512 regarding House Bill number 8009, seeking to define electronic violence against women and their children, providing protective measures as well as prescribing penalties for violations, amending for the purpose Republic Act number 9262, otherwise known as the Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act of 2004. Madam Speaker, no person is free from violence, especially women and children, since they are most prone to abuses and they are more vulnerable through the use of different forms of modern technology. Violence against women and children is a grave concern, with a record of 7,161 cases in 2022, as reported in the administrative report of the Philippine National Police through their Crime Incidence Reporting and Analysis System, or CIRAS. Republic Act number 9262, or the Anti-Voucher Law, seeks to address the prevalence of voucher by their intimate partners, like their husbands or ex-husbands, live-in partners or former live-in partners, boyfriends, girlfriends, or ex-boyfriends and ex-girlfriends, dating partners or former dating partners. During the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, voucher was rampant, especially during lockdown, which made women and children more vulnerable to abuse since some of their perpetrators stay with them in the same household. Likewise, online sexual abuse cases were also widespread, and voucher evolved into several forms with the use of information and communications technology and social media, employing the internet facility as platform. Madam Speaker, this bill on expanding the anti-voucher law would be more responsive to the present times, and this will give added protection to women and children from all forms of violence, including electronic violence, as defined in this measure. I therefore urge this august body to give utmost importance for the immediate passage of this law that will end all forms of violence against women and their children and obviate any creative legal defense that may be used by violators of the law who manipulate technology to inflict violence against them. It is our knowledge that in this growing technology-dependent society, it is our beholden duty to also update our laws in order to address the fast-changing realities and means of commission of crimes. Hence, the proposed amendments to Republic Act 9262 to include electronic violence are necessary. Madam Speaker, during the 16th, 17th, and 18th Congresses, this bill has already been exhaustively deliberated upon, passed by the House, and transmitted to the Senate for concurrence. So it is my hope that your support for the immediate approval of this committee report on House Bill 8655 in substitution of House Bills number 1471, 2592, 2664, 2850, 5153, and 7534, entitled An Act Defining Electronic Violence Against Women and Their Children and Providing Protective Measures and Prescribing Penalties for Violations thereof, amending for the purposes Republic Act 9262, otherwise known as the Anti-Voucher Act of 2004, be given wholeheartedly by this body. Let us make the difference in the 19th Congress, and I'm counting on your support. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize the co-author of the House Bill number 8009, the Honorable Arlene Brosas of Gabriela Party List to deliver her sponsorship speech.
The Honorable Arlene Brosas is recognized for her match.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this is a sponsorship speech for House Bill 8009, an act defining electronic violence against women and their children, providing protective measures and prescribing penalties for violations thereof, amending for the purpose Republic Act Number 9262, otherwise known as the Anti-Violence Against Women and their Children Act of 2004. Madam Speaker, good afternoon. This representation cannot stress enough the importance of a legislation that seeks to amend Republic Act 9262 or the Anti-Violence Against Women and Children of 2004, amid the many cases of violence perpetrated against women today. Ilang taon nang nakalipas mula nang maipasa ang RA 9262. Ngunit ngayon ay araw-araw tayong nakakakita ng matitinding forma ng karahasan sa kababaihan at bata. Today, we are able to connect, share important information, speak out, and raise awareness about human rights violations because of the advancement of technology. However, it has also provided fertile ground for violence against women and children to an alarming extent, with little to no accountability. This is why Gabriela Women's Party filed House Bill 403, or Expanded Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act, which seeks to define electronic violence against women and their children and provide protective measures. And this representation is pleased that the consolidated version, House Bill 8009, seeks to provide 20 days paid leave of absence for victims of VOW, in addition to other paid leave under the Labor Code, civil service rules and regulations, and other existing laws and company policies. Malaking bagay ito upang mapangalagaan ang kapakanan ng mga biktima na siyang dumaan sa matinding trauma na siyang nakakaapekto sa kanyang araw-araw na gawain. Our services team in Gabriela Women's Party has received an alarming number of cases of intimate partner violence perpetrated using social media, SMS text, and other technology on a daily basis. Furthermore, outdated laws and technology make it impossible to hold the perpetrator accountable under the current Republic Act 9262 or the Anti-Violence Against Women and Children Act. Hindi lamang pasa at sugat ang inaabot ng kababaihang inaabuso. Ang pinakamasakit sa lahat ng forma ng abuso ay ang hindi nakikita sa katawan, at ito ay ang trauma na siyang nagiiwan ng permanenteng marka sa buhay ng mga biktima. This is why we, Gabriela Women's Party, have always been firm in our stand that the amendments to the RA 9262 must be amended with respect to the fact that an overwhelming number of women who became victims of different forms of violence never received justice. While the House Bill 8009 has already introduced important amendments, there is still a lot to be done. Last February, the Supreme Court ruled the anti-voucher law can be used against women who have allegedly committed abuse against their own children, disregarding the fact that such decision can set a dangerous precedent for women victims who are already being deprived of justice under the current law. Ang mga batas na naglalayong proteksyonan ang kababaihan ay hindi kailanman dapat ginagamit laban sa kanila. Kaya, Madam Speaker, my fellow colleagues, there should be no space for violence against women and girls in our society. This representation urges fellow lawmakers to immediately pass this bill and join the call for more protection for women and children under the law. Maraming salamat, Madam Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we open the period of interpellation.
There's a motion to open the period of interpellation. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there being no member who wishes to introduce committee nor individual amendment, I move that we close the period of amendment.
There's a motion to close the period of amendment.
Period of interpellation.
The period of interpellation. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendment.
There's a motion to open the period of amendment. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there being no member who wishes to introduce committee or individual amendment, I move that we close the period of amendment.
There's a motion to close the period of amendment. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we vote on second reading House Bill number 8009.
Those who are in favor of House Bill 8009, say aye. Those who are against, say nay. The ayes have it. House Bill 8009 is approved on second reading. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, under the calendar of business, I move that we consider House Bill number 8008 under Committee Report number 511.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the measure.
House Bill 8008, an act providing indigent job seekers discounted or waived fees and charges in the issuance of certain pre-employment documents issued by the government agencies.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize Representative Michael Romero of One Pacman Party List to sponsor the bill.
The Honorable Michael Romero is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good afternoon, and to the distinguished colleagues in this 19th Congress. It is my distinct honor and privilege to sponsor House Bill number 8008 under Committee Report number 511 of the Committee on Poverty Alleviation, otherwise known as the Kabalikat sa Hanap Buhay Act. On March 8, 2023, the Committee on Poverty Alleviation passed a committee report and substitute bill to House Bill numbers 367, 2533, 3488, 3533, and 5792. These measures seek to help the unemployed indigent job seekers by providing discount to fees and charges in the issuance of certain pre-employment documents, to name a few: barangay clearances, PNP clearances, NBI clearances, issued by government agencies. Please note that the identified government departments and agencies to be affected by this policy manifested all their support by agreeing to grant the said 20% discount to reduce the cost of securing pre-employment documents for indigent job seekers. Therefore, this proposed policy does not require any budget for its effective implementation. If we are able to shepherd the passage of this bill, we would expect a higher propensity of seeking jobs among the poor and unemployed individuals of our society. Consistent with the advice to teach them how to fish, we increase the number of productive citizens who can actively participate in nation building rather than remain recipient of government assistances. For this reason, Madam Speaker, I implore the aid of my distinguished colleagues for the swift passage of this measure. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we open the period of interpellation.
There's a motion to open the period of interpellation. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there being no member who wishes to interpellate, I move that we close the period of interpellation.
There's a motion to close the period of interpellation. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendment.
There's a motion to open the period of amendment. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there being no member who wishes to introduce committee nor individual amendment, I move that we close the period of amendment.
There's a motion to close the period of amendment. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we vote on second reading House Bill number 8008.
Those who are in favor of House Bill 8008 say aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. House Bill 8008 is approved on second reading. Congratulations. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we suspend session for a few minutes.
Session suspended.
Ito na yun.
Isa pa yung disability pension ng mga veterans. Congrats. Nice to meet you. Disability pension ng veterans. Pinapa-rationalize na. Pinipingan. So it depends on the this is the public. But that tax. Wala talaga akong picture. Ano mga picture? Wala kayong picture. Inig. Eh, ba kumusta? Oh, I'll mention na. Dito na to.
Naguluhan na ako sa
Session resumed. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, under the calendar of business for the day, I move that we consider House Bill number 7939 under Committee Report number 502. May I request the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the bill.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the measure.
House Bill Number 7939, an act rationalizing the disability pension of veterans, amending for the purpose Republic Act Number 6948 entitled An Act Standardizing and Upgrading the Benefits for Military Veterans and Their Dependents as amended.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we open the period of sponsorship and debate.
There's a motion. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize Representative Geraldine Roman of the 1st District of Bataan to deliver the sponsorship speech.
The Honorable Geraldine Roman is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Madam Speaker, mga minamahal ko mga kasamahan sa Kongreso, muli magandang hapon. Once more, I'm honored to sponsor, this time, a different committee report, in particular, number 502, as reported by the Committee on Veterans Affairs and Welfare and the Committee on Appropriations. House Bill number 7939, in substitution of House Bill number 2490, under Committee Report number 502, was filed on May 5, 2023, by yours truly, and has received an overwhelming support by the Committee on Veterans Affairs and Welfare and by the Committee on Appropriations. And this would mean a great form of support for our veterans. House Bill number 7939 is timely, fair, and necessary. It provides for the increase in the disability pension from the current range of only 1,000 pesos to 1,700 pesos to 4,500 to 10,000 pesos, depending on the rate of disability. The annual budgetary requirement will amount to around 423 million to benefit the 4,386 pensioners. The current disability pension rates as prescribed in RA 6948 as amended by RA 7696 was last enacted in 1994. A total of 28 years have passed since that time, and now no increase has ever been legislated nor enforced. So at this point, I would also like to extend my appreciation to the more than 260 colleagues from the House of Representatives who have manifested their support by being co-authors of this bill. In the end, I would also like to bear in mind our constitutional mandates as specified in Section 7, Article 16 of the Constitution, which states, "The state shall provide immediate and adequate care, benefits, and other forms of assistance to our veterans and veterans of military campaigns, their surviving spouses, and orphans." With this in mind, I would once more ask for your support in the passage of House Bill 7939. Maraming salamat po.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, upon the request of the chairperson of the Committee on Veterans Affairs and Welfare, I move that we insert into the record the written sponsorship of speech of Chairman George Bustos, Madam Speaker.
There's a motion. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the chair approves the motion. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there being no member who wishes to interpolate, I move that we close the period of sponsorship and debate.
There's a motion to close the period of sponsorship and debate. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendment.
There's a motion to open the period of amendment. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there being no member who wishes to introduce committee or individual amendment, I move that we close the period of amendment.
There's a motion to close the period of amendment. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we vote on second reading House Bill number 7939.
Those who are in favor of House Bill 7939 say aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. House Bill 7939 is approved on second reading. Congratulations. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, under the calendar of business, I move that we consider House Bill number 7922 under Committee Report number 499.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the measure.
House Bill number 7922, an act establishing a voucher system for poor and academically qualified students of private higher education institutions and private technical vocational institutions, amending for the purpose Republic Act number 10931, otherwise known as the Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we open the period of sponsorship and debate.
There's a motion. Is there any objection? The chair is none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize the chairperson of the Committee on Higher and Technical Education, the Representative Mark Go of the Lone District of Baguio City, to deliver his sponsorship speech.
The Honorable Mark Go is recognized to deliver his sponsorship speech.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and my esteemed colleagues in this august chamber. As chair of the Committee on Higher and Technical Education, I am honored to sponsor House Bill 7922 under Committee Report 499, which is an act establishing a voucher system for poor and academically qualified students of private higher educational institutions and private technical vocational institutions, amending for the purpose Republic Act 10931, otherwise known as the Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education. This bill, Madam Speaker, is a consolidation of my original bill as the lead bill and similar bills filed by Representatives Lani Mercado Revilla, Dante Garcia, Alfredo Carlos Santos, Brian Revilla, Ramon Jolo Revilla III. So far, to date, it has more than 130 authors and co-authors. As the title states, Madam Speaker, this measure expands the coverage of the Tertiary Education Subsidy or TES in Republic Act number 10931 or the Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education. Madam Speaker, while Republic Act 10931 is a landmark piece of legislation, it cannot be denied that it has also some limitations. For example, there is the limited number of public higher education institutions or HCIs which can cater to poor higher education students. As of December 2020, there are 242 public HCIs, including state universities and colleges or SUCs, local universities and colleges, and other HCIs. In the latest data, there are 1,575,645 students enrolled in these 242 public HCIs. Madam Speaker, if the number of applicants go beyond the absorptive capacity of the SUCs or LUCs, they have no choice but to enroll in private educational institutions, which have a much lower amount of TES and whose tuition is not free. Geographical consideration, Madam Speaker, also denies the much-needed access of students to these public HCIs. Furthermore, the range of courses or degrees offered in each public HCI limits the options of the students in need of government subsidy. It is lamentable, Madam Speaker, that all these factors hinder students from maximizing the benefits of the law. Data from the Commission on Higher Education, Madam Speaker, showed that there are more than 1,800 private HCIs in the country, and yet they are only serving about 1.8 million students out of the more than 4 million students, college students. Much of these private HCIs can absorb the students, particularly those restrained by geographical factors. Meanwhile, Madam Speaker, data from the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority showed that in 2021, there are only 199 public technical vocational institutions out of 4,543 technical vocational education and training or TVET providers. Likewise, Madam Speaker, only 572,000 out of 1.2 million technical vocational students are enrolled in public TBIs. Thus, Madam Speaker, we need to strike a balance in the allocation of TES, considering that private and public HCIs and TBIs have complementarity roles in our society. Therefore, they should not be pitted against each other and compete, but rather strengthen their partnership in the goal of making quality tertiary education accessible to as many Filipino students. Through this bill, Madam Speaker, students opting to study in private HCIs and TBIs shall be given the chance to have a fair share in the coverage of the tertiary education subsidy through a voucher system. Madam Speaker, this measure provides new definitions for poor and academically qualified students, proportional budgetary allocations, and voucher system. This measure creates a proportional budgetary allocation in the form of a portable voucher system for poor and academically qualified students who opt to study in private HCIs and private TBIs in cities and municipalities where there are existing SUCs, LUCs, and public TBIs. The eligibility of students, Madam Speaker, under the voucher system shall be determined by the UNIFAS board not later than the start of the academic year as determined by CHED and the applicable period prior to the start of training as determined by TESDA based on reasonable economic and academic qualifications. Students of private HCIs and private TBIs, Madam Speaker, who are test grantees can no longer qualify for the voucher system. All the vouchers to be issued, Madam Speaker, shall be used exclusively for the purpose of assisting poor and academically qualified students who opt to study in private HCIs and private TBIs in cities and municipalities where there are existing SUCs, LUCs, and public TBIs. The bill mandates that all TES beneficiaries, Madam Speaker, shall continue to receive such benefits or subsidy until they complete their post-secondary technical vocational course or higher education degree program, provided that they comply with the residency requirement of the HCIs and the TBIs. Madam Speaker, the simple measure will go a long way in granting educational benefits to more students. For this reason, I urge my fellow legislators to support this measure. Again, thank you very much, Madam Speaker and my esteemed colleagues.
Thank you. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, upon the request of the minority, I move that we suspend consideration of House Bill number 7922.
There is a motion.
To the Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability. House Resolution number 894 to the Committee on Senior Citizens. House Resolution number 895 to the Committee on Energy. House Resolution number 896 to the Committee on Overseas Workers' Affairs. House Resolution number 899 to the Committee on Overseas Workers' Affairs. House Resolution number 900 to the Committee on Health. House Resolution number 906 to the Committee on Public Works and Highways. House Resolution number 907 to the Committee on Agriculture and Food. House Resolution number 908 to the Committee on Transportation. House Resolution number 909 to the Committee on Public Works and Highways. House Resolution number 917 to the Committee on Public Order and Safety. House Resolution number 921 to the Committee on Transportation. House Resolution number 926 to the Committee on Transportation. House Resolution number 927 to the Committee on Energy. House Resolution number 929 to the Committee on Energy. House Resolution number 930 to the Committee on National Defense and Security. House Resolution number 931 to the Committee on Information and Communications Technology. House Resolution number 933 to the Committee on Energy. House Resolution Number 934 to the Committee on Energy. House Resolution Number 939 to the Committee on National Defense and Security. House Resolution Number 940 to the Committee on Basic Education and Culture. House Resolution Number 942 to the Committee on Agriculture and Food. House Resolution Number 943 to the Committee on Energy and Indigenous Cultural Communities and Indigenous Peoples. House Resolution Number 944 to the Committee on Energy. House Resolution Number 945 to the Committee on Transportation, and House Resolution Number 947 to the Committee on Natural Resources.
There's a motion to refer the aforementioned House resolution to the appropriate committees. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Madam
Majority
Speaker, I move that we suspend session for a few minutes.
Session suspended. Session resumed. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there being no other matter to discuss for the day, I move that we adjourn session until tomorrow, May 17 at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Session adjourned until tomorrow, May 17 at 3 p.m.
Pero pwede ako maging ano ng team nyo.